my God, it's the BC3 Amigos. We are back in town. I cannot believe it. It's been a long May, and here we are at the end of May after a nice long weekend for all of us, Memorial Day weekend. We had a blast, all three of us. Could not believe it. And we are heading into June, a crazy month for us. We're going to be traveling a lot, and also, we'll go right into July, so it's going to be pretty fun. But without further ado, I think I'm going to go around the room, just say, how was everybody's Memorial Day weekend? Rob, how about you go first? What'd you do Memorial Day weekend?
Memorial Day weekend was my annual. I was in a hockey tournament, so had a lot of fun. Stayed out too late and didn't sleep much.
Kim, how'd it go? How was your Memorial Day weekend?
Rainy. We had rain, a lot of rain. In fact, yesterday they were showing softball size hail in the area.
Oh,
We didn't have any, but yeah, it was a lot of storms.
Rain is a good thing.
well, yeah, we had
It
rain.
is.
That's up in Massachusetts. We've been having so much rain. We've had more rain. What do they say? We've had more than what was expected. Like we're way over the amount of rain we should receive for the spring or something. So we are praying to God we get a little warmer weather. It's been 50s at night and 60s,
Wow.
70s in the daytime. So we haven't hit 80s or 90s or anything like that. So we're still chilly, and it was a gloomy weekend, but it was fun, doing things, and but that's great. So everybody had a great time. I mean, that's perfect. Let's go into what we're going to do this obviously this podcast. So here our podcast today is going to be about learning. So we're going to concentrate on some of our learning, our number one things we want to teach folks in the system. I know Kim's got a great topic, Rob's got one, and I've got one. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Kim because she really wants to teach everybody a couple of back to basics. So here you go, Kim.
So first of all, I'm sporting my Summit attire just to remind everybody that Summit's in a few months. I think they're changing some pricing this week or something, so don't forget. And two, I just want y'all to see my beautiful glasses here. It's really cool. I've got lenses put in my eyes that are going to become my glasses, and I can see better already, but I have to wear these. So for about 2 more months. So y'all are gonna get sick of these funny glasses. But anyway, um, so I really wanted to uh, talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. Can y'all see my screen? Is it coming up?
Give it some Viagra.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say
Present.
click
Share
present and then hit
screen.
share screen.
Share screen. Choose what screen. Ah, I missed a step.
Ah,
It's 3 times, Rob. Okay. Can you see it now?
yes, it is. It's coming up. Oh, there it is.
All right, we're in good old Cronus. I'm calling this back to basics. I talk to a lot of people in a week's time, and I do a lot of training and a lot of rescues, and we get a lot of new people at different companies, and they don't always get that basic training that can really help make their life easier. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. So I could probably talk about it for hours. So Steve and Rob will have to cut me off. But so here's my roll center, right? And I do want things here on my roll center that I'm going to use a lot. For example, I'm having to run the accounts payable aging report to make sure nothing's going overdue, and it's not here. And I could look it up and etc. But I want to make this efficient. So I'm going to find my report. And by the way, you don't have to type all this out. You can type a few letters and the system finds, oops, not receivables, I want payables, if you can type. And you can see your accounts payable report right here. And see this little symbol right here? If I turn that on, well, it was on. Okay, turn it on. It's solid, and it'll tell you here, it puts it on your roll center. Okay, and so it's on my roll center right here. And you can pin this so that this stays active. If you're constantly using this tell me or search, stop. Pin the things you need. Spend a little time organizing. You'll save tremendous amount of time. Now, I do have a blog called Filters Are My Friend, and they really are, guys. Not only can you set up filters and save them as saved views, right? So up here, got all kinds of saved views. So I want to look at customers with balances. You can see over here, I've got several customers that don't owe me anything, right? Let's just look at the ones who do owe me money. So I'm going to click on that, and voila, right? What I love about using the saved views from here is that I retain all of my screen real estate. I could do the same thing using the filter pane and filter on what I want, but now I've lost some columns that might be important to me. So all you do, set your filters the way you want them, and then there is a little icon that you can click that looks like a little diskette, and it'll ask you for a name. Now, this happened to be, I was doing saved views, so I knew which ones were different that I saved versus maybe ones that came out of the box. And I wanted those on top. Um, and a bunch of these you can actually get your partner to make go away if you don't want to use them. So simple things. Another thing, click on the heading of the column and you get a sort. You don't have to click here and then click here to get a sort. Simply, oh, you don't like A's at the top, you want A's at the bottom, click it again, right? So you just have to click on the words and the system sorts. And it saves, actually it saves a click every time you want to do something. So
Hey, Kim,
let's look. Yes,
you
yes.
said something about all those filters that come out of the box. You
Mm-hmm.
said that you have to get your partner. Hasn't Microsoft given us any options as a user to get rid of those?
Well, I do believe you can do that in extension management. Is that the correct way to remove them?
Yes,
Yeah.
the ugly ones.
I just, yes, you can do them in extension management. A lot of times users aren't comfortable in extension management, and honestly, unless you're real comfortable in extension management or your IT department is, I would just ask my partner to do it, and it would take them, 10 minutes maybe. If you're comfortable in extension management, you can take them out. Let me go into also, I'm just going to do customer ledger entry. Remember, I said you didn't have to type everything because it's going to find it here on the screen somewhere for you. And if you're like me, I have fat fingers and I mistype things all the time. Why did I want to bring this up? I'm looking for a payment, and I'm looking, so there's a lot of stuff here. In fact, I only see one payment. A lot of invoicing, credit memos, but I'm looking for a payment somewhere in here. So I'm going to click on this line, not someplace that's teal, because if I click on teal, what does that do? It opens another screen. I don't want to open another screen. I just want to, I'm going to click over here and test. Doesn't matter. The line got highlighted blue, but now I'm going to use what I think is a great little filter, and it's called filter to this value. So whatever's in this column on this blue line, I'm going to filter using that value. Boom, payments. Now I could
That,
simply come over here to maybe remaining amount if I'm looking for something that didn't get applied correctly or didn't get applied at all, or I could do additional filtering. But so that filter to this value is just a super quick way um, to apply filters without having to think a lot about it, right? Do you have a thought, Steve?
I love that. I mean, I'm sitting here all day long hearing people say, how do I find, I want to see all the X's in a ledger of some sort, or, show me all the Y's or whatever it is. And the fact that you can do that on any column, and you can even make a multi-filter value
Yes.
for it. But when obviously that came about, and it's true, it's back to basics. It's all the little things that we keep forgetting about, but it's opening up these basic things that get you to do your job faster. I love that one so much.
Well, and I'm glad you said that. See over here, when I added the filter pane using the little filter icon, it shows what I'm looking at, right? I already filtered. If I want to add other filters here, I can, or I can do them one at a time, going through the columns. So the like you said, it's kind of Business Central 101. How do you get around? How do you move through things? Um, Being able to take this data, drop it to Excel, which is different than edit in Excel. And I use this all the time. I go to a customer, they owe me some money, and I'm going to say, why haven't you paid me? I'm going to click on a balance, which is only bringing up what hasn't been paid, not all their transaction, but what hasn't been paid. I'll drop that to Excel. I take a few columns out because they don't need some of that stuff, and off goes my email. Now, there's other ways to do that and set up some automated reminders, but maybe I just do it as a one off because I want some special attention for a client. So, great things there, saved views, filtering. One of the things we do a lot, and I mean a lot in Business Central, is we're entering dates all the time. Um, and I see people type this in all the time. That's a lot of keystrokes. It's great, it's fine, it works. But wouldn't it be better to just do that? I just cut your keystrokes down by 60% by telling you that if you're in the current year, you never have to put the year and you never have to put the slashes. Now, if I'm in a month of June, I've got to put 02/22. I mean 06/22. I have to give at least 4 digits so it knows what month and what day. Not really. I could just put in, I don't know what today is. I'm going to type T. Haven't even looked at the calendar, and the system knows the date. Um, I could. There's a lot of things I can do with dates. Sean Dorwood took some of the date filtering things that we were showing, and he's compiled a list, and I think it's up to 100 and something ways to use dates. But these are the ones that I think everybody can use every day just to save time.
Oh my God, yes.
And if you don't know this keystroke, I'm gonna put an account number in here, 411, and I'm gonna down arrow, and I'm gonna do a whole bunch of entries, and they all go to that. And you're saying, how the heck did you do that? It's the F8 key on your keyboard. And if you're on a laptop, learn how to get the function key stuck and just use F8. It works for any field. It works for a date field. If I want to come over here and I messed up these dates, it's just F8, F8, F8. Quick, easy ways to fix. That's why I'm telling people a lot of times they want to know how to import from Excel into a journal. And I'm like, well, why? You can do it almost as fast in Business Central. Okay, maybe not a 200 line one that came out of a expense management or subsystem somewhere, but to do 6, 8, 10 lines in here with the keystrokes that I can do, so much faster. The other things that I have found super, super helpful, and they're kind of new, not really, really new, but I guess if you're an old nav person like me, they're new. And we always had posted sales invoices, didn't we? But look like what we have now, the posted sales invoice lines. And we can filter by date. We can filter by really anything on here that we want to. Do a little editing, maybe add a few fields, and all of a sudden we've got sales reports that probably hit closer to home of what we need than what we have out of the box. And last but not least, if you don't like that, then use the analyzed views and do some subtotaling in here. You'll notice here I've got numbers in parentheses, and that's because I've sold this 8 times, this one 4, this one 3, and I can get more information on that. So,
That was the that was probably the coolest thing. Well, when they first added sales lines, when we can finally look up sales lines only, and from a
mm-hmm.
warehousing perspective and stuff like that. When they finally did this one, the posted side of it, it was like, what a cool way of, like, again, analyzing your revenue dollars and your cost dollars, against what you physically sold and invoiced. And I'm like, finally, like, it's like even the littlest tiny thing is like the biggest wow factor when it comes to some going back to the basics. I mean, it's like, it's a giant wow. It's just not many people probably even know it's even in the system. I bet you nobody even knows it's there.
And the other thing is you can take that and export that to Excel now that you've done all the manipulating.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you, Rob. I always forget to tell people about that. The other thing, and last but not least, and I'll turn it over, is this up here. This is called the company badge. And I love it. It tells me what environment I'm in, so I know that I'm in production and not sandbox or not in test or dev. And then and I'm visual. I'm a visual person. So here's all my little companies, and I know the red one is something special, and I can tell which one is my consolidating or my test. And look, what's this down here? What is that thing? Well, it's an emoji with a hat on it.
I like that.
So you can actually put emojis in here if you wanted to. Now, where that comes from, just so you know, is company information in each company. And down here under company badge, you tell it custom, you pick a color. Now, you only have 6 characters of text, but that's in addition to the little emoji that you can put in there. So, but just visually, I think this is great. Like I said, I'm visual, so I love that. I like my screen real estate, and something I haven't tried yet, guys. I am in 26. Did you notice this?
Oh,
Voila! Is that not the best thing in the world?
resizing that real estate, man. Resize the real
Yeah.
estate.
I want to see all my fields, and I like this little thing. I wish I could actually go one more box, but and then if I wanted, I can, because I tend to do this. It's out, it's gone. I don't need to see it. It takes up too much space. But now I might find myself using this a little bit more. It
I
goes
agree.
down the page, but yeah,
I agree. It's handier now because it doesn't automatically block a quarter of the page.
I agree. Totally agree. So I'm really excited. I feel like um, I would like Microsoft to do more little things like this, but they are listening and they are getting some of these really nice things that can help users. So back to basics. If you're new to the system, um, you know, reach out to somebody that's been there. Get your IT guys to show you around or something. Look for some of the webinars that people do. Go to local uh, chapter meetings and meetups and all of those kinds of things. And the more you do, the more little tricks. You'll see somebody do something and say, "Hey, what did you do? How did you get that?" Ask. That's how you're going to learn all these tricks of the trade.
Thank you, thank you,
Nice.
thank you. This is really great. I love it. I mean, back to basics is so important. I mean, we all lose sight of it all the time because we're just, I mean, we pretty much, we train people, but we forget about even the small things, to just those little tiny things that are this big in our, cup.
They are.
It's not this big. It's like one little thing is like, woo, holy moly. So, but hey, let's go to our next topic. I know Rob's got a hot topic, and thank God it's not about sustainability. Only kidding.
Hey, maybe next time. But when I picked my topic, I was thinking like Kim introduced the subject of the summit coming up, and I thought I'm going to be teaching. In fact, we're all going to be teaching academy classes,
Yep.
And I thought maybe I should incorporate something as a little teaser. And so I decided to talk about projects. But guess what? I'm not teaching a class on projects. You're going to have to come to my session on project. So anyway, that said, let's get on with the show. Are we seeing it?
We're seeing it.
All right. So as I said, I decided to talk about something I'm going to be presenting at Summit, not something that I'm going to be teaching. And one of the things that folks talk to me about is how, when they run WIP, what GL accounts their entries get posted to. So I've got two simple examples today of how you can post WIP either in detail from the job ledger entries or in summary for the job. So let's take a look at something for a minute. We're going to go to projects. And by the way, my favorite customer, she called up again. This is Madame LaRue, and she's got a dollhouse that needs some service. And she's going to be building an entertainment room, and she's also going to be putting in a new bar. And we have two different types of postings for WIP. We have WIP posting per project. And if I go back to my other one for the entertainment room, we're going to see that we're going to be posting WIP per ledger entry. And what does that mean? Well, let's go back now to my main menu, and we're going to look at project posting groups. So here you see more than what you get when you get the standard setups from Microsoft on WIP. I like to share with people that just because there's a column out here doesn't mean that you have to have a GL account in every one, just like when you're filling out your general posting setups. So today we're going to be focusing on posting WIP in detail or in summary. And the big difference between the two, other than how many ledger entries you get, is if I'm using inventory, I have an account that when I credit it, it comes out of this expense account. If I'm using labor and resources, it's going to come out of this account. And if I have like GL accounts for supplies, it's going to credit this account. If I'm posting in summary, that means I'm only getting one entry every time I run WIP. It's going to come out of this account because it doesn't break down my items or my labor or my GL. So this is a big difference between running it in detail or running it in summary. And as I said before, I've got two different jobs. We're going to see the differences that are out here. The other thing I want to take a moment to mention is when you're looking at these headings out here that tell you what the system is going to do, just because it gives you some information doesn't mean it's always correct. And I'm going to give you one specific example. If you read this right here, this is the project sales adjustment account. It says that, hey, this is for balancing the WIP account. If you're using the sales value method for projects. And I will tell you right now that if you don't have it in here, even though the system is not going to calculate any sales adjustments for percent of completion, it is going to give you a warning that you must have it. And so there are cases, and I will tell you that is one of the things I'm teaching in my summit class. We're going to go through all the different WIP methods and have this filled out for each WIP method specifically so you know how to fill out your project posting groups. But that said, that's a different session. So now let's go back to the project, and we're going to go look at posting WIP here. One of the things I like to tell people is that when you're running a project and you're using inventory, it's great that you can buy inventory directly for the job. But I like to recommend that you actually bring it into your warehouse and issue it to the job, because that way you know everything that you received has been used, or maybe there are situations where you've ordered it, put it on the shelf, and not implemented it yet. And that's a way to control it by putting it into separate bins in your warehouse so that when it's time to actually use the product, you know that by the end of the project, that particular bin should be empty. Now, in this case, I'm going to simplify my process. I'm going to show you some shortcuts for processing transactions against projects. So you see I've already invoiced the job, and we're going to do this with the other job too. We're going to see that I've already invoiced this project. So both projects have been invoiced. The one place, even before Microsoft allowed you to compress the fact box. This is the one area where I always love to see my fact box because it gives me highlights on the budget and the actual that are out here. So that said, we're going to go back, and I like to use job journals to issue inventory and labor against my job. And one of the easiest ways to do that is I can either do it from my job or I can do it from a project journal. So let's go out to the project planning line for a moment. I'm looking at everything that's out here. And remember, this is a percent of completion. Both of these jobs are percent of completion. The only difference is whether I'm posting my WIP in summary or detail. And I don't want to complete the job. This is not to show you how to finish a job. This is to show you how you can get different information, whether or not you're running summary or detail. So at this point, I'm going to go out and I'm going to open a project journal. And here, one of the great features about using projects is I can come up here to prepare and I can calculate the remaining difference on my projects. So if I come out here for a second, you see that I have a calculate remaining usage. And what this allows me to do is decide, do I want all or some of these project entries coming out here? I can bring everything in and then delete everything, or I can say that I want to bring in certain tasks. And for today's exercise, before I bring that over, let's go back and look at our projects one more time. So this is for project 19, and you see the project number up here. You see all my task lines that are down here. We're going to go to my next project. And we're again going to go to my planning lines. And you see again that I have more project planning lines that are budgeted out there for it. I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to suggest for both jobs that I want project tasks 20 and 30. Because again, I'm not trying to complete this project at this point. So we'll go out and I can do it from anywhere. I'm going to go do it from right here. I'm going to prepare and we're going to say prepare. I'm going to calculate my remaining usage. Here I have project number. I can actually bring in both projects. So I'll do project 20 also. And I'm going to bring in both task lines for both of these. It's going to ask me for a project number, or document number. So I'm going to put a project number, project journal.
You know, Rob, I just want to say one quick thing. What you're doing there, where it says filter project task, you're actually filtering, just like I was talking about. So learning to use filters on the screen actually helps you with some of the other features in reporting that you can do as well. They kind of go hand in hand.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because there's something a little different between the project number and the project task line. I like how what they've completed here is this is actually a lookup in here. I could actually look up into here to see all of those. I'm going to hit escape to get out of that. But down here, unfortunately, this is not a lookup. If I was only working on one project, I ought to be able to look up the project tasks. In this case,
Yeah.
since I'm looking up multiple projects, I understand that I have to put in what I want to see here, but it would be nice if that was actually a lookup to the project task lines.
Good.
Agreed.
So here's where we're actually, again, saving some time. I'm going to bring all of these project planning lines in and let it calculate for a minute. And I have my 14 lines transferred. I'm going to take the filters off and we will clear the filters here too. And now you see that I have what I was looking for. Here's my project task lines for the first job, and here's my project task lines for the second job. Now, I can obviously edit some of this stuff if I want to, review people's timesheets, but more importantly, I want to issue the inventory. And the other thing is I will bring out, I'm bringing over supply lines that came over from my GL. I want to point out that in this case, I have $500 cost on here. It didn't bring over my cost. You have to be careful on what comes over. In fact, I've got to bring this in. It looks like I've actually brought it over twice. I'm going to get rid of this line right here. I'm going to get rid of it. I must have already had these already in here. And again, this is where you want to be editing and reviewing stuff. And I'll get rid of what I had previously in the journal. Oops.
Measure twice,
Cut.
cut once, right?
Absolutely.
Gotta believe it.
And
Still works
again,
here.
so yeah, I want to point out again, this is another nice feature out here. I selected more, and I can actually click a whole bunch at one time to delete, as opposed to having to delete each line individually.
And the coolest thing about that, while you're doing that, is let's say you did have 100 rows that you wanted to select. If you do click select more and you keep your arrow on the first line, using your mouse, just scroll down to the last line. If you hit shift enter, it will highlight all the rows.
Yes, very good tip.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I always
It,
use the
it,
down arrow.
No, it's like you always have to click, 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 click. And
Yeah.
I real one time I was in there and somebody showed me this trick and I was like, they put the mouse on the first line, select more, and then went all the way down like 2 or 3 pages, and then if you click shift and then click on the row,
Oh,
it filled all the check boxes in. Then you can delete in mass. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me! I'm like, yeah, if you're clicking all those, and the things you learn even now, the little
we're learning things,
yeah. Well,
right?
I
So,
wish they would
yeah,
publish these things like some grandiose.
it would be a book. The only problem is it'd be a big book.
well, see, that's the problem. There's so much coming out that you can't keep up on everything. You read something and
Yes.
you go, "Oh, that's cool," but over here there's something else, and you're like, "I missed that one." The other thing I wanted to point out, one thing about this project journal where you suggest calculated quantities or remaining quantities, it doesn't have a default cost. So if you're using GL accounts, you must put in the cost that you had out there for that project planning line. And down here, I actually had a different project cost for this one. So I do want to point that out, that if you're using a GL account, there is no default unit cost on that. So keep that in mind. All right, so now that I've got these all in here, this most important part is that we're going to go ahead and post these so we can calculate WIP. But I'm also going to take one more moment to give you a little tip here. I left this intentionally out here, line type. Do not mess with your line type unless you really want to screw up your budget, because if you put something in there, it is going to add that to your budget. People call me all the time going, hey, I just put in here that this is for my budget and it automatically added that. So keep that in mind. Keep that blank if you're posting from your calculated quantities. So now I'm going to go ahead and post. Remember, I'm posting for 2 jobs. Click my home and I'm going to post. And everything went through because I made sure I had my inventory on hand before I did that. So let's go back and look at our jobs for a moment. So now, again, the great thing about this, I've got actual costs in here. It's on my, it's also in my fact box. I can see that I've got a portion completed, and we've got the other job back here where we have the same amount. Now remember, this is going to calculate WIP by project ledger entry. So remember, all of those what we've got out here, whether it's, if I drill into my actual costs here, I see that I've got something for my resources. I've got something, if I go down to the ordering, I've got something for my resources. I've got, or in this case, I've just got my GL account, my items. So I've got the 3 different categories out there. I have those same different categories over here. We'll go back over to here, the next job. And you'll see that there's resources on here. And if we go down to here, my actual, I'll see that I've got inventory and GL accounts. But now let's run WIP for both jobs. So I'm going to come up to WIP, I'm going to calculate my WIP, and I'm going to run it as of the 31st because it's now the end of the month. I'll say okay. And before I do anything, I get to review it. We'll take a look at what's going to post. I'm going to say yes. And notice out here, I have my revenue account that I'm going to defer at some point, but I'm also going to recognize some because it's percent of completion. But more importantly, this is my cost of sales. I'm deferring my cost of sales, debiting this account, and then I'm recognizing it because in percent of completion, whatever I've completed is my cost of sales. And notice these 2 accounts aren't similar, and they did not come out of the same GL account because I have labor in here, I have inventory in here, and I have an office supply account. Let's go back and look at the other one. Oh, I should post that. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We're going to go ahead and post it. So I'll post that also as of 5/31. Oh, and this is what I wanted to point out to you, that when you're using GL accounts for your sales, that in certain situations, if you're going to budget for the GL account, I don't like to budget with a GL account. I like to use resources. It's telling me that, and here's a little quandary in projects. If you use the GL account to budget, it needs a product posting group. But if you want to post to the GL, it can't have that. So we're going to go ahead and change that GL account right now so that I can actually post it. I'll take that out of here. And I keep promising myself I'm going to talk to Microsoft to fix that, but I always get busy. So now we'll go back and post my WIP. And we're going to do it as of the 31st. And WIP was posted. We'll go look at the GL in just a moment. And now we'll go fix the other, or post the other job. So out here, now remember, the other case, we only had one GL entry getting credited for cost of sales. Now let's go ahead and calculate WIP here. We're going to do it as of the 31st also.
You know, a tip for the date is you could have done a work date to 5/31, and then all you have to put in all those times you put 5/31 is a W.
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. So we'll go take a look at here. And notice now, where before I only had one line up here on my cost of sales, I have different cost of sales credits for whether this was inventory, whether this was my resources, or whether this was my GL account. And these go back. I want to go back. We'll go take a look at this. This goes back to the GL accounts. You can pick whatever names you want on these things. But if we're going back to my posting setup for a second, we'll take a look at that. You'll see that these are all getting to the individual accounts out there based on what they are. And we'll go ahead and post this. Yes, we'll say yes as of the 31st. I don't know what month I've got my work date set for, so we'll make sure.
And that's okay.
All right. So let's go take a look. We're going to summarize real quickly and take a look at why it used some of those accounts. So if I go back to my main menu for a moment and I look at my project posting groups, remember, when I post in detail, this is the GL account for the inventory usage. This is the GL account that gets credited for payroll. And this is the GL account for my supplies. Down here, I only get one option. So you get to pick. People say, well, how do I direct inventory adjustments out of one account and into another account? This is what controls that. This is your project posting group that can defer whichever GL accounts you want it to go to. And now let's go one last step here. We're going to go look at the GL account, or the chart of accounts. I like to go back here. Let's see what I've got in here. Do I have anything for this specific? I didn't do anything. So here's what I would do. Let's drill into my ledger entries. And here we go. Madame Leur's project's cost of sales. So this is filtered, going back to what Kim said before, based on my cost of sales accounts and my projects, because I've got projects posting into the GL. And this allows me to do my analysis, making sure that anything that is in WIP is for jobs that are open, not for completed jobs. And again, the GL accounts that get hit depend on whether or not it's a posting in detail, or I'm sorry, posting in detail entries or posting in summary. And again, this is my summary one. These are my detail ones.
This is awesome.
I love it.
I'm going to have a client that I'm going to say, hey, go watch our BC3 Amigos so you can understand this a little better.
Love
You
it.
have no idea how many times people call me going, how come my WIP isn't correct?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Rob. That
Thanks.
was
That was
great.
great, Rob.
All right. And remember, I'll be running a session at Summit with this, so you'll get more detail there.
All right, let me share my screen, and while I'm doing my technologically advanced. All right, hopefully I am sharing my screen. Am I sharing my screen? I must be.
You
It's
did much better
there.
than us.
Yeah, you did.
All right, so I think what is it? One strike, two strike, three strikes, you're out. I think I watched you two, and then I followed you, so that way it worked. I'm I'm going to talk about the coolest two little things, and I know they're small in nature, but it's kind of funny when we talk about like back to basics from Kim, or we go projects with Rob. I'm going to talk about two very small but powerful tools or at least ideas for you to remember. Now, one happened last week and actually one happened today. So, and it was really funny that no, that both I'm on the phone with them and it was something that did come up in training, but we forget about it. We really do. If you don't do it day in and day out, you lose sight of all these things we're teaching you. It is so funny. There's no magical cheat sheet other than us coming on a podcast and doing these training exercises or something. So let's do the first one. And I'm going to turn a little sideways here to do this. So first, I'm going to open up a purchase document. So we're going to go to I'll do a purchase invoice. And I'm going to let my system open, give it a second to refresh and, power up, I call it. The gerbils aren't moving fast enough today in the cloud. So hopefully it'll come up in a second after it realizes what it, oh, there we go. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go new and I'm going to pick our favorite vendor. We have all lived with this vendor before. And that way, there we go. I'm just going to move it out so it's separate.
What is that?
What's what?
You had like a rooster or flamingo.
Something.
Oh, disconnected. Oh my God. Hold on. Let me bring it back to life.
There you go. What is that?
It's a bunch of pieces of paper in a circle. Like, how you, like a slide of paper that you went around in a circle.
Okay.
And it changed through different things. I was kind of sliding through different things. Like each piece of paper meant another subject matter. All right. So let's pick a customer here. And hopefully when I finish it, I can show it to you. We'll pick our London postmaster because I don't need anybody special. So I'll come in here. And let's say you get a bill from, it could be an insurance company. It could be maybe you did a subscription to an annual bill for the internet. You're paying it annually. Maybe you get a bill for some sort of invoice from a vendor, a general vendor, that you have to really amortize or defer and then amortize into your P&L over a period of months. And the funny thing is, it's not like there's a secret sauce here, like there's a special button that says defer me. It actually is not very, like, I wish there was a button that clicked, it says defer me. And I know it sounds very weird, but I would love to say defer me. But if I come in here and I'll just do a nice simple one, we'll do a GL account. And I'll pick insurance we'll do insurance since that's a nice easy one. And we'll make believe this is my life insurance policy for my executives for 1 year, for 12 months. And we'll come in here and we'll say, okay, let's do, and the bill is, and I'll make a nice round number so everybody can understand it, is $12,000 for the policy for the year. And the funny thing is, on here, again, there's no special button that says defer me 12 months. I can't type it in anywhere. I could type it in the description, maybe, 12-month policy. That's wonderful from a literal standpoint. But how can I tell the system, hey, BC, I want you to take this amount of money, and we're going to make this document date 0601. We're going to start right on this. That's when my policy renewed is 0601. Okay. And I want it to defer this for 12 months. There's a column. Most likely it is not visible on your screen. So don't forget to click, the personalize button here to add it to your screen. So we'll skip that for conversation's sake. But if we scroll over, you'll find this beautiful column called deferral codes. And the love of this field is you could do so many things with this word, with this code, with this field. You can defer things both from a vendor side or even a revenue side. Let's say I go out and let's say my customer gives me money for the next 12 months and I want to defer it. And I'm not talking the subscription module here. That's a totally different conversation. I'm talking somebody who wants to go out and gives me upfront money for a year and I want to defer it over the next 12 months or 6 months, whatever the case may be. What I'm about to show you is the same on both sides of the fence, both from a expense side and then a revenue side. So I'm going to come in here, and in my list, I've got a 12-monther and a 6-monther. You can create new ones. It takes about a second. You say, okay, what do I want to call this code? Let's call this one here 3 months. And we'll call this one 3 months. And my deferral account, of course, you'd probably pick in the case of purchases, maybe it might be I basically, where here I'm deferring this. I might pick maybe a balance sheet account, and I might pick an asset, maybe, or I might pick, if I'm doing sales, I'm deferring revenue, I might pick a revenue liabilities account. In this case, I'm just going to go down to my prepaids right here, and I'm going to make believe I'm picking that account. I'd like to do this over straight line, equal amounts per period, days per period, it understands the accounting, the days. 31 days in some months, 30 days in other, 28 days. Maybe it wants to follow the calendar days. Or maybe I want to define it myself personally. Yes, very rare that you will do this, but it is possible. Most popular one is, of course, straight line or equal. These are the easiest. So I'll pick my posting date. You saw I picked 6/1 over here. I'm going to defer this over 12 months. And my description, here's the best part. My description is going to be called my executive life insurance policy annual policy. If I could spell. And if I really can't spell, then you're going to be laughing at me like you are right now. Policy. And I say, okay. So I picked that one. I put it in here. Again, this one's 3 months, but I'll switch it out to 12 months. I was just showing you that this is my 12 month because I said I would do this for 12 months. That was my description. When you're all said and done, remember to put the invoice number in. Hit post. And I'm going to click post. I'm not going to preview this. I just want to post this through real fast because I want to show you what this just did in my demo system. Now it's going to go through. It's thinking. It's doing a little bit of thought here. It does take an extra, call it 60 seconds maybe, depending on how fast your connection is to your internet.
So and how many months you're allocating it over.
Correct. And
you can see, you don't have to do preview posting. You can actually see the deferral schedule.
Yes, you can.
Without even doing the preview posting.
And while this is doing that, I'm going to explain, before I click this word to go to the posting here, what Kim was talking about was that when I typed the 12 months, if I want to see the deferral schedule after I punch it in, I can click the dots and basically allow me to see the deferral over the long haul of this transaction. So again, preview posting is lovely. You can see the deferral if you want to go, after you put the code in, you can actually see the deferral calculations right then and there. Or, of course, when you post it through, you can go to your posted document here and let it come out. And then I'm going to click our favorite word, the most popular word in all of Business Central, find entries. And you'll notice if we see the GL here, you're going to be like, wait a minute, Steve, you just did a simple debit and credit. How in the world did it come up with 6 entries? And again, so here it basically went out, and I'm going to just do the math for you. And again, my math was 3 months because I'm playing around, remember. I went out, and let's just go from top to bottom so we understand what this entry means. So first is this 62700 is the group insurance life account, so that's an expense account. Here is, of course, the same account with a credit of 12,000. So upon the entry posting, the initial entry said credit accounts payable. This is AP this is my deferral account here. So it went to 22,300. That's my AP account. The second entry was a debit to 13. This was the vendor prepayment account. You saw me choose that when I was doing it, right? You saw me choose that. When it posted the debit and credit, it reversed out the initial entry, not the AP side, but it reversed out the expense of 62,700. So it went in and came out. These two are washed themselves. And then it booked $1,000 for the month of June. And of course, it'll book $12,000 the next month and so on and so forth. So it is going to book out those months, those transactions for you. I can tell you one thing, the nice part about these entries, and I love these, and I'll just go back. I'm going to go back one screen here. I'm going to show you something here. Here's another one, and I did do this one earlier this morning, and I wanted to show you this one here. So as you can see, it books it in, and it does the same thing. I've kept on doing it over and over again because I was having a lot of fun with making this entry here. So give me a second here to step out. I'm going to go to posted purchase invoices. And let me bring up the last entry right here to the American Wood Products, which is the one I did in May. And this is funny because this is exactly the example I was showing somebody earlier today, I used this one as the life insurance policy. And if I click find entries, the funny thing, this Business Central is so intelligent. It's going to go out and it's going to book, again, the entry based on what you tell it to in terms of your deferral. It will go out and debit and credit the proper accounts payable account, the proper deferred account, and then, of course, expense only that portion within the month in question. It's only going to book that portion of that month. So if you're doing something over 12 months, it's going to show you something over 12 months and so on and so forth. So be aware of that
Based on what your setup
based on what your
criteria
setup is,
was.
right?
Yeah.
It's a deferral code. So in this deferral code, it's based on that deferral code. It will basically go do what you say it. Now, again, I'm not going to go through the revenue side of it because I really don't want to. I want to show you the funniest, most hilarious thing I saw, for which I want Microsoft to fix. I really am desperately going to like beg, borrow, and steal that they fix this. Are the two of you aware of the fact that I post a credit memo? I post a sales credit memo to a customer and you make a mistake. Do you think you can press a button like a posted credit?
No, I
No.
know that.
It was so freakishly annoying as I'm sitting here explaining this to somebody this morning, and they said the same thing to me. It's like, why would you let me correct it on an invoice, but you wouldn't make the tool for the credit memo? And I said, I'm really sorry, but it's just not possible yet. Maybe one day it will come. They said to me, okay, so how am I supposed to fix a credit memo? And I said,
Ask
well,
Copilot.
the only way to do it, and to be honest with you, the fastest way to do it is going into a sales invoice, and you would basically just say new, and this is the fun part. And hopefully you'll agree. Hopefully this will at least give you some comfort that it's not going to take a long time. But if I open up London Postmaster, which of course, I'm sorry, the Canon Group. There we go, Canon Group. And let me change that one more time because I picked the wrong customer. And there we go. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, gang. So I picked the Canon Group. Stop here. Don't do anything else. Go under Prepare. Click Copy. Go find your posted credit memo. So you go in and find a posted credit memo. And when you click the document numbers, if you did post them a credit memo, it will be listed here. So let's say I pick this one right here, and I can click on it. When I click on it, immediately include the header and never recalculate the lines. And when you say OK, it will bring in that credit memo in its reverse form, meaning I'm going from a credit memo to an invoice. So in this case, I'm bringing in the credit memo to this document, and I'm going to invoice them for $869.99. But I will apply, if this document was open, it will apply itself back to that open credit memo that has not been consumed in a payment that was given to you from the customer. And again, from here, if, not to say that you're going to change anything, but you wouldn't. But in this case, I'm going to leave it alone. And of course, you would click post and be finished with it. I am hoping and begging Microsoft that hopefully they will do what they did for the invoice, which is basically just put the same functionality and feature as a correct that they do on the invoice in the same using in the same vein
That would
of
be
a credit
nice.
memo.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
That way,
Steve, I'd like them to just do it for service, let alone credit memos, because you can't do it on the purchase credit memo either.
that's see. So I mean, if you think about it, the feature is there. All you're doing is taking a feature and changing, of course, the document type and some other things, but the base functionality is there. You're just pointing it to different documents and whatnot. I mean,
That would
I
be
hope they
helpful.
can change that sooner rather than later, which would be nice to. I call it fill
Yeah.
in the blanks. I mean, we're teaching everybody a basic here, but can you imagine if we just filled in the little tiny blanks that we're missing, such as these two feet, not the deferral feature so much, but here, this little tiny feature that can probably solve a million problems from a purchase credit memo, sales credit memo, service document. You think about it, we can solve a lot of problems if we just do that.
I got an idea for our next session.
What's that?
We have a list. We talk about topics we would like to see fixed, and then we ask
Mhm.
people to go out and vote for our idea.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
That's a good one. And then you know what? After we get our list all put together, we should bring somebody from Microsoft on to speak with us about how fast we can get it fixed. Which of course might not happen because they'll probably decline on that one, but only because we're
They got
giving it.
Copilot.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of AI and Copilot stuff right now. So
Yeah.
all right, so I know we're getting to the top of the hour and we're really hitting. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so we can put our faces back on the screen. But before we actually run away, I think there's a lot of things going on in our community and we want to basically make sure we're all hearing about it. I think Kim mentioned first and foremost our favorite community summit coming up in October 19th through the 23rd. Please register. If you're looking for 10% off, use follow. If you watch this video at the end, we'll certainly announce it. But if you type BC3 Amigos 10, so BC, the number 3, Amigos with an S, the number 10, you get 10% off of whatever price that they're putting out for the month of June that they're here. And again, Kim, what do we got going on for, I guess, upcoming events? And what do you got on your list of a car? I know there's one coming up. Oh, is it this month?
We
Uh,
have the.
Go
Uh,
ahead, Rob.
I will
Before
tell
you
you.
go, I just want to remind you about Academy before Summit.
Ah, that's true. I forgot about that.
You want training, hands on.
Yeah, we've got
Join us.
dozens of academy sessions this year. For the first time, we've actually exceeded 12 different academy sessions, 12 plus academy sessions, all running from either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just Sunday. Different events happening all day, all different subject matters. So
Right.
please go to summitna.com, look at the academy sessions, register. Obviously, if you register for that, it's a cheap price to get fully educated on a piece of functionality or feature in the system, and you can go from there and jump right in with all the rest of us and go right to Summit.
All right, Rob. Didn't mean to step on your toes.
That's okay. I'm going to say that local chapters are coming back to the communities. The very first one will be here in Houston. It's going to be June 24th. But those local chapter leaders are reaching out to start their local chapters in the near future. That said, DCI runs the road shows, and we have 3 coming up here in June. We've got Columbus on June 10th. We've got Chicago June 24th, and we've got Philly in July 26th. I'm sorry, those are all June numbers. Did I say July? Getting excited about summer vacation. Uh, and then in July, we do have Seattle. Seattle will be July 22nd.
You'll probably see us definitely at the road show. I think all three of us will be at the Houston event, the Houston chapter meeting, sorry. And then it's for the road show. I know some of us will be at one or others, but I know I'll be at Philadelphia only because it's right near the East Coast and I'm an East Coaster, so I'll be there as well. But another thing to remember, Kim, anything else you got on your plate before we kind of go over some meetups?
Am I supposed to remember something? Because I don't.
Is there a Houston meetup coming? I think later this year in
Yeah,
That's actually Texas. That's
yeah.
that's her backyard. We're
That
going
is
to her
in
yard
yeah,
for grilling.
Grapevine, which is going to be fun. They have a come up the night before. It's free one day, a lot of different sessions, and we can go to downtown Grapevine, which is a cute little old town. Lots of nice restaurants and hangout places. But yeah, that's in September. It's a meetup, so
cannot wait for that
yeah.
one here. We'll all be the BC3 Amigos will be at that one. There's other regional meetups happening. I know in Canada, Toronto, they've got a June 16th through 17th coming up. And I'm not going to, there's a lot of ones out of country. I'll skip those only because obviously you can certainly go online at Doug and see all the different meetups that are happening. There's Colorado in August for summertime, and Rob mentioned July, but we got one in August 21st, I think, a meetup in Denver, Colorado, and then they're circling back to, of course, Ohio, and then of course September 17th in Dallas, Texas, or Grapevine, Texas, and we'll all be there to have a lot of fun, and that'll be some great news and. Look at that. And then we end up looking at turning around the corner, and guess what happens in October? Summit. So
Summit.
we are coming close to Summit again. So
The agenda's about to be published. Has it already been
it's been
published?
published. So everybody go to
Ah,
summitna.com, look at the full agenda. It is no days and times yet, just the agenda itself physically. So you can filter on Business Central in the filter tool. You will see every session that will be offered for all the different tracks, 9 tracks this year for Business Central. You'll see all that. Kind of get ready. The app's not out there, so you can't plan your own agenda. But hopefully, crossing our fingers, later this month we'll see what Microsoft sessions will be announced, and then hopefully in July the actual rooms and days and times will be published, and you can start mapping your agenda. So super excited! Cannot believe, yeah,
Hey, Steve, I want to throw something else to our audience. You know, people have come up to me before and says, "Hey, looks like you have a lot of fun up there when you're presenting." And, you know, I want to throw out to the community that if you want to join one of us on stage or all of us on stage, we're happy to share and co-present with you. So
Absolutely.
if you've got a topic you want to present and you don't want to be out there the first time by yourself, please reach out to one of us and we'll be happy to get on stage and show you a
yeah,
good
that's
time.
actually a great idea. I mean,
It
you
is.
know, when we think about our speakers that do speak at all of the conferences and events, and I mean, I'm not saying people are shy, but they just don't want to be alone. And the three of us have been around a long time speaking, and we love doing it. We do it together a lot of times. We do it individually a lot of times. But you know what? Having a friendly face right there to help you out and split the load. Don't forget, co-speaking. It's not like I have to prep my whole 60-minute, whatever. You're really maybe doing 30 minutes, or you may be doing 20 and 20 is 40, leaving time for Q&A. So it's not a lot of,
Mhm.
it won't be a heavy load. And plus you have a lot of fun with us crazy people. So what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
I want to mention one more thing too is uh, we have the national meetings every month where we have two educational sessions, about 30 minutes apiece. And there's a lot of webinars that we're putting on a monthly basis as well. You can get a list of all of those on dynamiccommunities.com. But you might have a topic you're interested in, and maybe we could start with just being part of the webinar.
That's true.
So you don't even have to get on stage if you don't want to. So there's a lot of ways you can get involved, and we welcome everybody.
We always do. Well, guys, we hit the top of the hour. We had a great educational meeting today, a podcast. I think our listeners are going to learn a lot from all the subjects we hit today, plus all the future conferences and meetups, as well as road shows that we're all going to be at, all three of us. So, with that said, it is the end of May. We're going into summertime. I think it's time to break out the barbecue and get the grill cleaned up and ready, and the suntan oil out, whatever it is, and we will see each other sometime, probably, I'd say late June. I think we're going to be all together. So I think
Middle June.
we'll have a June one here. We'll be together a few times.
Oh, a couple of times in June.
Yeah,
You're not going to
well,
see y'all
so
twice
we
in the
can,
same month.
I think we could do our podcast when we're all in Grapevine, or Houston.
I was thinking maybe over in Copenhagen.
I was thinking Copenhagen.
Or we could do a foreign one where we can actually learn a language, but we'll probably screw it up so bad nobody's going to listen to us ever again. But the three of us will be in Copenhagen, Denmark, in the middle of June. We're going over to the Microsoft office where Business Central is. Uh, Basically, the product is designed and developed over there. So we're gonna have a little fun. When hopefully maybe we'll do a mini road show somewhere quiet. They can give us an office and we can do one and have a little fun. Or maybe we do it in a big room and we just have a lot of all the crazy people
Oh yeah.
listening. It will get so much noise that we probably none of us will be able to speak. So it would be fun. Other than that, guys, we'll say goodbye and we will see you next month in June.
Adios,
Bye, y'all.
amigo.
Bye bye, guys.